Go to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and speak to Thomas Remington, a visiting professor of government at Harvard University. Professor, thank you so much for your time. In terms of the participation of the Wagner mercenary group in the fighting, how important is that in terms of the confrontations that they're having with Ukrainian military forces, but also in terms of how they influence possibly what the Russian military itself is doing, because this is an illegal group of fighters?
It's a quasi-autonomous group operating with a great deal of independence. There's some coordination between the Wagner Group and the Ministry of Defense. Wagner Group still does depend on the Ministry of Defense for supplies. But Prigozhin is such an independent actor and clearly very ambitious politically. And he's advertising what he claims is a success in Soledar. We'll see whether he's really taken it. And he claims he's done it without the assistance of the Russian military. Moreover, he has been attacking the chief of the general staff, Gerasimov, whom just today Putin appointed to head, in effect, all of the combat operations in Ukraine. So there's I'd say, a rivalry going on, very unseemly, very unusual, between Prigozhin as an independent operator and the regular military. I think the coordination problem is very considerable for Putin. I think it's one reason that Putin named this longtime chief of the general staff to take command of the overall operation.
Yeah, and what about Soledar? There seems to be some sort of confusion almost every other day. We have analyses saying it's going to be important because Bakhmut could be a springboard for the Russian forces. And then the next day we hear that actually strategically it may not have much value at all. So why concentrate on that part?
In and of itself, it's not so important. Bakhmut would be somewhat more important. These are not major towns. They would, if the Russians seize both of them, that would certainly be an indication that Russia is making progress in trying to hold its line in those two eastern provinces of Donetsk and Luhansk. What Soledar signifies is, for Prigozhin, if he takes it, it would be a considerable political victory for him at home. So I think it's more strategically important for Prigozhin than for the Russian military as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. People are saying that it may well give him even more influence in the decisions made inside the Kremlin. And regarding the weapons that are coming, especially the tanks that are coming from Poland, Kiev has also asked the British government for tanks as well. Do you see the danger there of possibly the West becoming more and more involved in terms of supplying offensive weapons, while previously most of the weaponry and assistance had been defensive?
There's always a risk. With each step that the Western allies take, there's a greater risk that it will somehow create an escalatory spiral. However, at this point, it seems to me that the allies of Ukraine have steadily increased the level of commitment that they've made. And the next major step surely will be to beef up Ukraine's air defenses. So I foresee that the US and Germany will follow in providing tanks, as Poland has done. As you know, recently, several countries have provided these armored fighting vehicles, which are one step down from fully armored tanks, which are, of course, weapons of war. I do think we will see the tanks being supplied in the next few weeks, and I think it will make a difference militarily. I think the biggest difference will be once we really provide high-end air defenses, including aircraft.
Yeah, and then we'll have to see how much training the Ukrainians need to use all of that equipment. Professor, thank you so much for your time. Thomas Remington at Harvard University.
You're most welcome. Good night.